Okay, peeps, welcome back. So today we're going to be going over the grayscale trust, and LTCN, as you guys can see, is clearly in a confirmed breakout. So with that being said, let's get it. All right. So first thing I want to go over is I did have a question on X about selling GBAT. The answer is yes. Not because I necessarily thought there was going to be a pullback, but just decided that it was time to just simply take profit off the table. The thing about crypto is you never really know. Well, trading in general or investing is a different story. But when you're trying to make gains from short term swings or even midterm swings. Let's say like 8, 12 weeks. You really never know where the top's going to be. It's impossible to perfectly time the top or the bottom. So I can tell you all right now what we're pretty much planning on doing is just taking that $8,000. So the profit was about $2,300. So it would be roughly about 8,000 total, with everything added up between the cost basis and the gains, and just shifting that money over into dividend paying stocks and options, um, in the Robinhood account. So pretty much that will raise, I think, roughly about $500 to $600 a month in passive income. The goal for me personally is to kind of get the hell out of the job that I'm at because it's extremely toxic. There's some pretty cool people there, but the vast majority of what goes on there is just massive toxicity. I was assaulted by a coworker, a Samoan dude. I'm not gonna say what his name is on here, because again, that's personal business. But I mean, if I really wanted to, I could just tell you guys the whole story on here. If you really want to know, I'll tell you. But anyways, yeah, so I gotta go deal with that next week and decide if I'm gonna press charges and all that. But basically, just looking to get the hell out of this job. Like I told y'all before, we really want to do this full time. We don't want to, we're not interested in working in the labor market anymore. I mean, technically, people that trade are still in the labor market, but we can work from home. We don't have to go to a job. I don't have to go drive an hour commute every day and work 11 hours a day. And then I'm working 11 hours a day, 4 days a week, and then I come home and then we have like another 2, 3, 4 hours of work, and then on the days that we don't work, it's like another 15, 16, 17, 18 hours of work. So it would be nice just to buy some of that time back and then be able to do this more often for y'all. Live streams, just go over more content, do different stuff, and of course, be as more up to date, obviously, and maybe like even show you guys some day trading and whatnot. So, anyways, this is the portfolio as of now. Pretty much what's going on right now is we're just adding native cryptocurrencies and adding money to native cryptos and money also to dividend paying stocks. Have not fully decided yet what those 4 to 6 cryptos are going to be that we're going to pile heavily into, get more concentrated in. But I'm thinking at this point, like 100% certain, 2 of those are going to be Filecoin and AIOZ because again, those are DPIN projects, and AIOZ is on top of being DPIN. It's also artificial intelligence, so it's a really big deal. Okay. And Filecoin hasn't really moved much. It has a big market cap, but again, it hasn't really done much of anything. So if we have spare capital, we'll just simply add to these positions, if it makes sense to do so, if the prices are still low at that time. So another thing I wanted to go over here is the AMC thing. So we added some calls today, pulled out like another $130 in options premium because again, the price is not doing much. So as you guys can see, added quite a bit. So now we have 600 shares, still down 41%, is what it is. We kind of got in at the top thinking it was going to go higher, and it happens. Okay. So we're just averaging down at this point. So in the meantime, while we're waiting for the price to recover, we're going to do options. And once it does start jetting off to the upside, we'll pull the contracts and buy it back out. That's going to be the goal. And just let the price rip. And, if it goes to 80, 90, 100, $1,000, $10,000, whatever, then great. We'll just let it ride and then eventually at some point take profit. So that's kind of the plan. So now we'll get into the charts. So on LTCN, I told you guys before that this was kind of a similar setup that we were seeing here. So this was actually a golden cross when we had our first rip here. So that's not exactly what we're seeing right now. But on the second move here where it looked like we're about to have a MACD death cross, and we were just about getting ready to break out of this downtrend line. We did not. It was actually a fake out. So the MACDs never crossed, and they just went straight up, and the price took off as well. So we're actually seeing something very similar on the MACD. As you can see here, they have not crossed yet, but they're almost touching. I am pretty sure I told you guys maybe a few weeks back or something like that this was a possibility. Didn't think it was actually going to play out. But again, the EMAs are not really touching here, so they're just kind of faking everybody out, making people think like, oh God, it's going to sell off. And I mean, I've already pointed out the scenarios here. Scenario number 1 bounces off of support, breaks the trend line. Scenario number 2 fakes out to the downside, hits this support, and then busts out of the trend line. So it appears, at least in the immediate short term, we got the weekly candle close on the first scenario. So again, this is a bullish breakout candle. Again, we would want to see another week of confirmation after this, or at least something on the daily time frame. We'll get to that in a minute, but this is a confirmation candle breakout and a bullish breakout candle on the weekly. And not only has it broken the trend line here, but it also has closed above this top yellow EMA. So that's extremely bullish in my opinion. So I'm going to go ahead and do the measure move with you guys. We don't actually own LTCN anymore, as I'm sure you know, but we are still going to cover the content regardless of whether we actually own these or not. We're going to do this for you guys. So basically from the swing low here to the swing high, you guys can see the move was absolutely monstrous. It was 406%. So pretty big move there. And then from this move to the swing high up here, as you guys can see, it was also a massive move, so 557%. So could we see something similar to that? So basically, I pretty much would want to be taking 400 to 557%, give you guys the measurements on those. It's possible it could replicate the move or not. I mean, we'll just have to see. So 400%, pretty much the top of this resistance zone here. That actually lines up perfectly because, again, that is the next major target. If it were to go up, I think it was like, 540%? So 540% would be about $156. So if I move over to the left here, there's not really much going on at that level. In my opinion, I think the move probably would likely be closer to about the top of this range, about $135. But again, if that does happen, that is a 5x move. So pretty big move on there. Again, the targets we're looking for here is the top of this control bar. It's about $50, roughly about that wick high up there, $54, somewhere in there. Then right around 75, and then 100 to 135. That's kind of what we're looking for. So if I just give you guys the immediate moves, pretty much from the current price, assuming you already hold the stock and you're not actually buying in right now, 69% to that control bar, and then roughly about 127% up to that $75 level. So I'm going to go down to the daily time frame now, and we can take a look at this. So everything looks very bullish. We don't quite have the triple golden cross on the EMAs yet, but it does look like we're getting pretty close to that. So we have our breakout candle here, and then the confirmation candle here, which again, we want to see follow up. We did see that it did close above the EMAs on that candle. So I would say, as of right now, in my opinion, the next big move on LTCN has already started. Again, we have a golden cross here on the MACD, on the daily, and the RSI. So BCHG, we do have the breakout candle right here, but I would not necessarily call these confirmation candles because, again, we want to see a higher green candle. We do not see that here. So likely probably going to be a pullback into the EMAs and or the trend line before we bounce. I could be wrong about that, but we'll just have to wait and see. Excuse me. So MACD golden cross, RSI golden cross, all that looks good. Break of the trend line. Current support $10.15 to about $12.80. Resistance $18 to $20, and the swing high up there about $24. So no death cross on the MACD indicator, but as you guys can see, kind of back here, we did have a death cross, but it was like pretty much a perfect fake out. So it crossed just enough to convince people maybe it was going to sell off, and then it just went straight up. So, but that's how the markets works, you guys. I mean, that's how market makers get people, man. They try to convince people or shake people out, so to speak. They call it weak hands or paper hands in crypto. I don't know if you guys have heard that term, but basically it means people that they have very little emotional control when it comes to their investing. Like if the slightest move it turns in red, they freak out and start losing their minds and all that. So on the weekly, we do have a bullish confirmation. Or I'm not going to say confirmation candle, but a bullish breakout candle. So this is confirmed. We want to see a follow-up on the daily and or the weekly. So I've given you guys the numbers here. From the current price to the swing high would be roughly about 80%. If you want to wait for a pullback, that's up to you. No guarantees it's going to happen. But then again, no guarantees it's not. So 132% move on that one. HZEN, this thing does look like it's about to push and break out of there. It is testing resistance again. And again, this is a green candle after 6 weeks of red, and it's kind of holding the support. So in my opinion, I think this next week could potentially be bullish for HZEN. So on the daily, we do actually have a breakout candle here on the green one, but no green candles follow up from that. So a golden cross on both indicators here, as you can see. As of right now, support is still going to be around the zone, so about 380 to 420. Resistance $7 to $8, and then the swing high up here about 10.5. So from the current price to the swing high about 98%, and from the kind of the base of these candles here to the swing high is about 142% move. Pretty big move. So ETCG, this thing did have a nice bounce kind of off the bottom of this channel, so that's definitely good to see. I'm actually quite pleased to see that because I was starting to wonder myself there for a minute if it wasn't just going to break down and start selling off a cliff. I've been doing this for a long time, and even sometimes I have to wonder, like, okay, what the heck is this market doing? It does happen. So as of right now, current support is still going to be roughly about $11 to $13, and then the resistance we're looking for is $17.60 to about $20 up here. And again, spot ether ETF deadlines for the SEC is coming up, but not going to get to it in this video because again, we went over some other stuff. In the next video that we do, I will do the best I can to make sure I remember to do this for you guys, to show you what's going on with that. So 54% move, pretty much from the current price to the resistance high up there, and then from the bottom of the channel to the resistance high going to be about 85%. So ETH, we have a handle, and we also have a cup and handle. As you got, this is a downward channel, which is bullish, and then cup and handle, which is obviously even more bullish. Bitcoin actually has a very similar setup to this on the weekly, which is pretty interesting. So again, target for the channel would be the top of the channel because a falling channel is generally a bullish price pattern, whereas the inverse would be a bearish one. So if you see a channel going upwards, expect a sell-off. You see a channel going downwards, expect a breakout. So top of the channel, roughly about $30.50. 50 almost, or 54, almost 55 on the cup and handle target up there. So again, the support's going to be roughly about 17, which is the bottom of that little green box there, to about the bottom of this channel, which is roughly about $20. So if I were just to measure it from the bottom of the channel, let's say to the top of the channel, 53%, the swing high, 71%, top of that resistance zone, 130% roughly, and then the cup and handle roughly about 166%. I'm not gonna lie to y'all, a little salty that I missed the move on Phil G. That kind of sucks, not gonna lie, because I was like thinking like maybe we should get it here, assuming it's not gonna pull back, but then it, literally exactly what we thought was gonna happen happened, and we're like, crap, well now we missed the move, so that sucks, and now it's up more than double. So yeah, that kind of blows, but is what it is. This is a breakout candle, so I'm pretty sure it's not coming back down to the support. I would say if it's at the lowest, it'll come back to like about $60, which again lines up with the bottom of those candles. And then the swing high up here is all the way up at $400, which is still a pretty good return if you ask me. I mean, not as good as it would have been at 40, but beggars can't be choosers, I suppose. You take what you can get. So 237% move from the current price, and then roughly about from that trend line, about 500%. So whether it's worth the wait or not, that's up to you guys. Okay, so GBAT, this is the one that we held. In my opinion, even though we did take profit and get out of this position, I think it's still going to run to the upside. I think it has more room to run, if I'm being completely honest. Exactly how much it's going to go, I don't know. I'll talk about that in a separate video with you guys. But again, you can see we had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 green candles before and after the first breakout. And then again, before and after the second breakout, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 candles. And then 1, 2, 3 candles so far. So 3 weeks closed. So we would ideally have 2 more weeks, basically before and after the breakout. I'll just give a simple measurement here on how much these moves were. So 325% roughly. This may not be perfect exactly, but I'll do the best I can here. So 470%. So if I were just to measure this from, we'll just say about 300 to 470%. So 300% would put this roughly about $25, which again is much higher than the current price. 470% would pretty much put us exactly back to the top of the swing high, which again is still pretty good. I mean, you're talking at least to 2 extra money. And again, a lot of these are probably not going to run until we see alt season, which Bitcoin needs to top out before then, ideally at the end of this year. And then after that, we would see an alt season. Of course, these could just run up with Bitcoin and not move with altcoins. But here's kind of your fib levels. So 51, roughly about 78, 105, and then 121. All of these are possible. Again, I will get more deep into these in a later video. So GLIV, it looks like it might be having a breakout here. It's kind of an ugly candle, but it did close above this trend line, and it is green. So that is a breakout candle, in my opinion, although it's not very convincing. I'm just going to call it a breakout candle. So as of right now, the trend line is going to be support, which is pretty much at the current price, about $26. And then the swing high up here is roughly about $80, as you guys can see. So that's going to be about a 220% move. G-Link, this thing's still coiling. So as of right now, support is still between $66 to $84. Swing high is about $220 up there at the top. It may or may not test this support before breaking out, because again, we kind of have a downtrend here, and it looks like it's starting to it looks like this is the bottom right here and it's moving up. So it may not even hit the support, but I'll just give you the measurement anyways. So from current price to swing high, 104%. From roughly about the bottom of the support to the swing high, 245% move. And again, these are just moves to get back to all-time highs. This is not necessarily to get to price discovery. Sky's the limit with price discovery. We won't actually know what that's going to look like until it happens. So GSOL still coiling up. Pretty bullish looking candle here. It didn't really get above these previous candle closes though, which kind of is a reason to have some pause here. But personally, I still would not touch this. I would be looking for some kind of pullback, because if it does break down, the pullback's going to be severe, or even worse if it has a pump fake, breaks out, and has one candle up here and then sells off, which does happen sometimes, all the way down to support. That's going to be even worse. Do with that what you will, but again, the drop from the current price could be as much as 56, 57%. Let's say we have a pump fake up to maybe this wick high over here outside of the range, and then all the way back down, you can see that'd be even worse. So 62% move. Swing high up here is roughly about 580. The current support is this trend line, but I do suspect it may actually bust to the downside out of this. Of course, it could break out to the upside. That's possible too. So 170 to 200 is going to be support. So I'll just measure from the bottom of this range to the top. about 245%. And we'll just assume that on the flip side, maybe it is going to break bullish out of the support and move straight up. Roughly about 50%. So, whatever reward you guys decide is worth it. That's up to you. So still have not seen a breakout of GXLM. It is kind of still moving around in this channel here. Again, the channel ranges between 30 and a quarter to 42 and a half ish. If it does break down out of this channel, it may bounce roughly about that $20 level. Just keep that in mind. 70 is going to be that swing high up there. So we'll just pull it from the current price to the swing high, about 113%, and assume the worst case scenario, which is $20 to the swing high. That'd be about 237% move on that one. So, mana, this one is really, really wedged in there. I mean, man, this thing is really just hitting the apex here. So, I suspect we're going to see the confirmation one way or another next week. I can't imagine this is going to take any longer than that. So, as of right now, support sitting between 18 to 20. Swing highs all the way up there at $70, as you guys can see. So basically from the current price to the high, 238%. And then again, from the base of support to the high is going to be about 290%. Zcash, this thing is actually looking quite bullish, if you ask me. So this green candle did have a close pretty high above these previous ones here. It is pushing into this trend line at the close, so that's very bullish. We could potentially see a breakout of this thing next week. But still, as of right now, the current support is 440 to about 510. Resistance $8 to 970-ish, and then 1020 on the swing high up there. So from the current price to the swing high, about 80%. From the base of support to the swing high, about 139% move on Zcash. So anyways, hope you all enjoyed this content. Please like, comment, subscribe, and we'll see y'all later. Peace.